So here I'll also connect nihilism with a concept from mythology and from Joseph Campbell, and also some of the stuff that Jordan Peterson teaches is the hero's journey. I'm really big on the hero's journey, but people like Jordan Peterson and so on, they don't. Even Joseph Campbell didn't understand what the hero's journey was really about. I have an episode called "The Highest Hero's Journey." Go check that out. It's very important. I also talk about it in my life purpose course. Go check that out. It basically shows you how to do your hero's journey related to your career. Very powerful. But the hero's journey, I explained it in that video about the highest hero's journey. The hero's journey has these various stages and steps that you go through. Hopefully you still remember some of those. It's a long video that long time ago that I shot that video. Basically, the hero sets out on the journey. Then he faces threshold guardians. It's difficult. He gets defeated by the threshold guardians. He perseveres. He finds the wizard or the wise old man who gives him knowledge and wisdom and gives him a weapon or some sort of boon. He takes that weapon and that wisdom and he uses it to face down the threshold guardians and defeat them one by one by one. Eventually, he defeats enough of those. And then finally, he encounters the deepest, his deepest obstacle, sort of the monster that he's trying to destroy. Here, like the final boss of the game, you might say. He tries to battle this monster, this final boss. He fails. He's not strong enough. And then he enters what's called the belly of the whale. The belly of the whale is the lowest point in the journey. It's your deepest turning inwards into yourself to really figure out, do I have what it takes to defeat the final boss? And to defeat the final boss, what you need is, you don't need a magic sword. It's not the problem. It's not that your sword is not big enough or that you don't have enough health potions or something material like that. The problem, the bottleneck ultimately is your own heart and soul. Your spirit. Is your spirit steeled enough for the battle ahead? And it's in the belly of the whale that really the boss is defeated. Because physically the boss is out there. You're in the belly of the whale by yourself, alone, facing your own self, your own weaknesses, your own ego. What happens in the belly of the whale is that you finally face your own deepest inner weaknesses and self-esteem issues and all that, and you come out of that. You might call that the dark night of the soul. And then finally, you're spiritually steeled enough now to go fight the final boss, and now victory against the final boss is guaranteed. Because the true victory was already won in the belly of the whale. So nihilism is the belly of the whale. But the problem is that the belly of the whale is the place where very few are willing to go. That's the lowest point in the spiritual journey. That's where the real spiritual work happens. And so people invent all sorts of external excuses for distractions and doing stuff that is not actually going and taking them into the belly of the whale. And people might demonize the belly of the whale. They might say it's dangerous, it's bad, and it is from the standpoint of ordinary life. If you're living your ordinary life, you're not battling some giant boss monster, then for you, entering the belly of the whale is a bad thing. It's difficult. But if you come out of it, then you'll be a true hero. The hero's journey is just God realization. That's what the whole thing is about. It's a myth. It's a mythic archetype that shows you how to reach God realization, how to realize your own true self as God. So going through nihilism is necessary, and it makes you stronger. It makes your mind stronger. So don't fear it. Just go through it. You have to be careful because you can go through it in a dysfunctional way where you end up killing yourself. You don't want to do that. I talk about in other videos some of the different traps and mistakes you can make going on this journey. I have a video called The Dangers of Spiritual Work, which explains some of the There are real dangers. I mean, it's dangerous. Being a hero is dangerous. Fighting a dragon, defeating a giant final boss dragon monster is dangerous. It's difficult. It's a more difficult life than just living complacently in mediocrity, going to your 9-to-5 job and just punching the clock and just doing what everybody else in society is doing. That's the difference between not being a hero and being a hero. So the tragedy for the lowercase n nihilists is that they never realized that God was nothing. Nihilism literally means nothing. And what you realize at the end of the journey, once you defeat the dragons and everything, is that you're left with nothing. God is nothing. These nihilists were so close, and yet they were so far. And they don't understand what nothing is. The nihilist idea of nothing is not what God actually is. God is an infinite, loving nothing, which a nihilist usually doesn't comprehend. The purpose of spiritual practice is nihilism. Meditation. Nihilism. That's what it is. You're trying to shut down your mind to zero. So look at this. Nihilism in theory as a philosophy leads to depression, angst, negativity, destruction, and anarchy, and chaos, and a bad life and suffering. Whereas nihilism fully actualized, not as a philosophy, but actualized, leads to enlightenment, sainthood, God, consciousness, love, and truth, and a playful, joyful life. It also leads to immortality, by the way. Because nothing, what's the one thing that can't die? Nothing. By the way, if you're confused here, when I say nothing, I'm not talking about the nothing you think of, and I'm not talking about non-existence. Nothingness is not non-existence. It exists. Nothing exists. Non-existence does not exist. There's no such thing as non-existence. There's only existence. So, very counterintuitively, meaninglessness goes full circle into liberation.